Alright, welcome to week 7 of the Domain 9 series, and we're finally in patch 3.1, and we have a lot to discuss. As you see, we did not get a level increase, and most likely this will happen in patch 3.2. But starting out, you want to go ahead and take a look at your casual tab. Starting with Artificial Island. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that you hit this present icon because you can only hold your resources for 24 hours. Then, if it's past 12 o'clock, you want to make sure that you check out this section and you should see this old man icon. And now you definitely want to make sure that you're checking your friends, your crewmates, or just anyone's in the world's old man because they did update these to where you can get movement coordination modules for the new Titan gear. But if you want to find out more about the mysterious vendor, check out this video. But you want to at least go into your artificial island at least one time a week. Once inside, you can go ahead and hit this triangular icon. And you want to make sure that you check out your exchange store because you want to make sure that you buy your weekly items before the week resets on Monday. And try to kill your enemies before they reset on Monday. But at the very least, I recommend that you kill the bosses. Next, we have fishing. So ideally, you want to try to get your fishing to level 9. That way you can buy your weekly standard matrices if it's a good one. And the best way to level up your fishing is to buy 100 to 150 green bait, so that way you can get purple bait with the rest of your available bait for the week, and once you have time to level up your fishing, you can use that purple bait. Then we have appointed research. You want to make sure that you're checking this pretty frequently because you can only hold a grand total of 20 energy. That way you can keep getting your 5 free energy a day. So you want to make sure that this does not cap. Bringing us to Ronnie the Resource Dealer. You want to make sure that you're buying your mini pelican shards, especially for my boat mains, your energy, and your potent omnium crystal. And our last thing is racing. So you may want to try to attempt to do a little bit of racing so that way you can get into the top 100. That way you can get that free 400 Mira. But this is optional and you don't really have to worry about it if you find it a bit difficult. But the main thing that you do want to do in Mirroria is do your security force mission so that way you can get those owed Vera coins in Mira. So make sure you do that before the week ends. Then you want to do your Mia's Kitchen. Then you want to do your daily bounties, and you always want to pick Domain 9. I recommend that you save all of your keys for patch 3.2 because we're going to be getting a new energy system. And with the new area, you should have enough energy to almost max out all of the towers. Then we got Vitality, starting with joint operations. So you want to make sure that you do this at least one time so that way you can get your daily first clear reward. You also want to get in the habit of checking your week's fix. Today, we can get Habuella shards. So if you have some extra vitality, you may want to use it on this. But you also want to check interstellar exploration. And you want to check Vera as well as check Aspera so that way you can see all of your stargates. And how you can tell if you have a level 3 stargate is if this weapon battery category has a number 3, it's a level 3 stargate. If it has a number 2, it's a level 2 stargate. But if you don't have any level 3s or level 2 stargates, you could always do dimensional trials. And simply click go, and you're able to use up all of your vitality by pressing quick battle. And you can do the same for matrix data packs and go. Which brings us to our optionals, and that is giving gifts to your 1.0 characters, our Zeke. And how you can do that is by going to the black market and talking to Hopkins, see this island and doing the claw machine, and knocking out your 2 trainings for the day. You can also do your 8 Funzone so that way you can get Mira and training points as well. And if you have not cleared out the Greyspace, you want to make sure you knock out your 6 Greyspace Fishers. But your biggest rewards are in the Twilight Zone, but you do have an 8-hour time limit, so you could do this later. Which brings us to our events. So let's go ahead and talk about these themed events. So we have the Jade Pavilion Lantern Festival. Now this one is kind of buggy, so you may want to go to the website itself. I'll leave a link down in the description. But you want to try to log in every day and at least share it so that way you can get some points and you can get some extra rewards with your team. Alright, so now let's go ahead and talk about the Lucky Wheel. Now this is a pretty expensive event. You do get a couple free rolls to go ahead and start out, so I do recommend that everyone uses their free rolls. But if you're trying to go for the outfit specifically, you might have to spend quite a few dark crystals to guarantee that you can get it because it has a very low chance to get the box selector to let you choose the outfit. So I recommend not to roll for this unless you really want these outfits, but it is going to ask you to spend a lot of dark crystals. And if you are going to be spending that many dark crystals anyway, you might want to try to use it to create Vera gear, so hopefully you can get some better Vera gear along the way. And then we have another expensive event, Wheel of Light. So everyone should have got 20 free pulls for this anniversary Wheel of Light gift box. So let's go ahead and see what we get. As you can see, I get some okay rewards like gold nucleus, proof of purchase, and I did get a red nucleus and a data repeater. So not terrible rewards. And now that I use those, I can now access the store. And you'll notice now I have a few proof of light currency. And with that currency, I can buy items inside this store. So if you want to get this outfit, you're going to have to buy quite a few of those boxes to get it. But if you are going for an outfit, I do recommend that you hit this preview button. That way you can click on this icon, you can click custom, and then you can play around with the colors to see if you like this outfit. But this is what the hairstyle looks like if you're interested in seeing that. But if you do decide to go ahead and go for those outfits, you can simply click the store icon and it will take you to the limited gift pack store, to where you can either buy a 10 pool for 500 dark crystals, a 10 pool for 400 tanium, or a 20 pool for 500 tanium. Personally, I recommend that if you're going to go for it, go ahead and try to use these 20 pools to see what you get for 500 tanium. And then from there, slowly work yourself down, because it's always cheaper to use the tanium option over dark crystals. Which brings us to another event to where you can spend some money on, the Gachapon events, to where if you wanted to try to get the ruby skin, you can now roll for that. But again, you're probably looking at over 5,000 tanium to guarantee that you get the ruby skin. And this is the same for the Saki skin, which this does go away in 2 days. So if you do want these, you have a few days to get it. But again, I recommend that you pass unless you really like Saki or ruby. And then we have our order gifts again. This is if you roll for Zeke, you can get a few extra items, but they're not that great, so don't really feel pressured to roll for that. We have the same for the anniversary characters, so where I didn't roll for any anniversary characters, but it's still the same okay items. But of course we have Ming Jing / Zeke. I already made a video discussing how powerful he is. I still recommend that pretty much everyone get at least one copy on your account, because he can just instantly kill elites, which is very helpful when you're trying to get achievements or do exploring and you have a very difficult enemy that you have to fight. But then we have the anniversary characters. So let's quickly discuss how worth these characters are. Starting with Lynn, I recommend that you pass on her, and if you do want to get her, just get one copy so that way you can do alter. Lyra, as a main DPS, she's not very strong, but for a healer, it's very good. If you can get 2 copies, that can be pretty worth. But do note that there's a good chance that she's going to be the next one added to the standard pool, so you may not want to put too many resources into her. Tion, pretty much Fenrir and all the characters after him beat him in DPS, so I wouldn't really use your rolls on him. Plus, same with Lyra, he's going to probably be getting added to the standard pool fairly soon. Annabella, they did buff her attack, so she is stronger, but I still say Leowa is much easier to use and stronger, so I don't recommend going for Annabella. Alice, now she is a tough one to rank, because if you can get 2 copies, that is very helpful for your main DPS Yulon, which is one of the strongest teams. But once we get the new Frost character, most likely she is getting kicked out of the team, so I would say this basically depends on your resources. Personally, I would rather just get 1 copy of Zeke and wait for the new Frost character. Umi, with Zeke being here, Umi is pretty much kicked off the team. You now don't have to worry about the annoying charge mechanic with her skill, so I don't really recommend picking her up. Fenrir, now this one is pretty difficult to rank as well, because if you can get an A3 Fenrir, that is very powerful for a Volt main. But Mimi may be kicking her off the team, but I personally think that we're going to be seeing Mimi, Fenrir, and Rubilia. And at that point, you're going to want to have your A3 Fenrir. But most likely, she's going to get rerun again with Mimi, so you could just wait and see how the meta changes. Lan, very powerful for the Flame team. Ideally, you want to try to get 2 copies to greatly increase their power, but she is going to be getting kicked off the team fairly soon in the next 2 banners, so you may not want to use your resources on her and just save for the next Flame character. Icarus, I think you have to get way too many stars for him to be powerful, so I don't really recommend that you roll for him. Chinono, a very strong character with all the passive damage that she can provide. Ideally, if you can try to get 2 copies, that would be great. And if she gets more stars, she's even stronger. But if you're going to invest more than 2 copies, I recommend that you probably put that into Zeke, who's going to stay on the team for much longer. Rubilia, a very expensive character. To take advantage of her, you need to have an A5 at least, but Mimi might change that to where all you need is an A1. Personally, I think that you should just wait until Mimi comes and we can see how the meta is before you start trying to pull her. But getting 1 copy is nice because her expiration mechanic is S tier. Fiona, one of the best healers in the game, so if you are a healer, trying to get a 3-star would be preferable, but if you're not, I recommend just getting at least 1 copy, that way you can get access to all of her scatter techniques and you can do altered if you feel like it. Leoa, if you like the flame element, you want to go ahead and pick her up. She is the main DPS for the team, so trying to get her to at least a 3-star is going to be very helpful since she is the main DPS on the field and she wants to have that sustainability. And then we have our big patch events with the Challenger's Task List and the Overlooking Cloud Speed. So you want to make sure that you knock out all of these so that way you can get all of your rewards. But one thing to notice is that this has a time limit, so we basically know how long this patch is going to last, meaning that you can expect patch 3.2 September 5th. But then we have our themed event. So here's our login event, and you want to make sure you're logging in enough time so that way you can get your free rolls. You have the Star Chaser Championship, which is actually pretty fun to do, where you just kind of bet on a character to win the race, and if you bet correctly, you're able to win a lot of the points. The problem is we do have to do this exchange copper bloom system to where you need to use Mira to have enough copper bloom to play the race. So if you don't have a lot of Mira, this could hurt you. But we got some pretty good items in the store, so you want to make sure that you're doing the event so that way you can pick up the items. And once we get to 16,000, which should happen tomorrow, we're able to pick up another A&I contract. Then we got the Jade Pavilion Path. This is similar to the Fenrir float that happened in Mirroria. Basically, this event happens every 2 hours, and I believe it starts at 12. My recommendation is that once it starts, wait 20 minutes, and then you can just teleport to all the locations. There should be 20 presents altogether, and you can only collect 20 presents a day. But this location right here is a little hard to find all the presents. So if you're not able to find them right away, just wait for another event and collect 2 real quick. Then we have a picture event to where you need to find the characters and take a photo of them. Pretty simple to do once you figure out where they're located. And then we have the new raid, which is fairly difficult and you need a coordinated team to take down. So now let's go ahead and discuss the new area. I recommend that if you don't have a lot of energy, you make sure that you level up the well, because if you get this to level 6, you're able to see all of the secret chests on the map. And if you combine that with the wing statue, you're able to see all of the exploration points. Then you can just simply go around and collect all of the exploration points, which is going to give you tons of energy and resources. We also have access to the new boss, the Crow Boss, to where this one drops Flame Sparrow Shards. But we get so many Flame Sparrow Shards through all the rewards and everything, you should be able to get this to 3-star as long as you have 17 keys. I went ahead and did this myself, and I used exactly 17 keys. Then we got the Ghost Town. You want to make sure that you go here so that way you can pick up your extra keys. You want to go and talk to this girl so that way you can buy your keys. Which brings us to the mentorship. And you'll notice if we take a look at Zephyr, he now doesn't have over 600 points. I ended up terminating his mentorship and reapplying him so that way I can graduate him again. So if you have a mentor that is reaching over 600 points, what you want to do is take them to the graduation ceremony, graduate them. Once they graduate, then you want to terminate their bond, which is going to be a 3-day cooldown. After 3 days, go ahead and reapply them and add them to your team, and then you can be their mentors once again. But of course, you want to make sure you do your co-op missions with at least one mentee so that way you can collect all of these rewards. And you want to try to get 100 points every week for all of your mentees so that way you can graduate them as soon as possible. And when it comes to the store, I recommend that you get the Titan Compiling module, the data repeaters, and if you have extra coins, you might as well pick up the golden gear. Which brings us to the weekly tab. So you want to make sure that you're doing enough things down here, especially the ones that give you keys, so that way you can collect everything up top. But I recommend that you save all of your keys for patch 3.2, except for the 17 golden keys that I mentioned earlier, and that is if you want to go for the flame bird. But if you want everything to go for the dragon, save it for patch 3.2. Which brings us to our challenges, starting with the Bicon Phantasm. So again, you want to take a look at this weapon bonus, and if you have a good weapon bonus, then you want to try to climb a few levels. And if your CS is high enough, you're going to be able to hit this sneak to next level and jump up 11 levels as long as you can beat that floor. But the biggest thing that will determine your rank is Sequential Phantasm. You notice that I haven't done any of this, so I already dropped down to rank 23. But they did change the rewards that we can get every week. And we get these new augmentation module boxes, so you want to make sure that you try to get as high as you possibly can because these are difficult to get. Wormhole, it has reset, so you want to make sure that you do this before the 11 days are up, so that way you can get your microreactor shards. Frontier Clash, you want to make sure you do this at least one time, so that way you can get that golden gear. Evolution Mode, now this one is difficult, and you definitely need a team to go ahead and knock this out. How this works is that you're going to fight this boss 5 times, and every time that you fight it, it's going to have a weakness different than what the main damage was dealt to it the previous round. I know that might sound a bit confusing, but my fellow content creator Michachuk did a pretty good video explaining how this works, so be sure to check out his video, which I'll leave a link down in the description. Origin of War. Now you want to make sure that you take a look at the rewards preview by clicking this. Because remember, you do not want the difficulty to drop under 600%, so that way you can get all of the rewards. Void Rift, is this a first time boss for you? You want to go ahead and knock it out. Void Abyss, you want to go ahead and get with the team so that way you can knock this out. But now that everyone has Zeke, I feel that this is going to be much easier to clear, but I haven't tried it with Zeke yet. Raids. This is their normal raid to where you want to try to knock it out on challenge so that way you can get all of the best rewards. But if you do find that difficult, you could always do heroic and still get 90% of the rewards. So then we have the Black Jade Warrior raid. Now this one is pretty difficult, especially if you do challenge. If you're trying to do challenge, I recommend that you have a coordinated team so that way you can knock this out in a reasonable time. Break from Destiny, you want to make sure that you do this at least one time so that way you can get those 250 Dark Crystals. Arena, now this has changed a little bit to where you're able to get free weapons every week to try out while you try to rank. But again, if you're trying to reach Grand Marshal, you might want to put a couple hours in each day. And also take a look at your daily limit with the critical points. Remember, you can get 14,000 a week, and you ideally want to try to get a few critical points every week because they will be changing the store here in the next patch to where we'll be able to get old Vera coins and accessories. Then we got our daily buys, so let's take a look at the shop. So make sure that you take a look at this monthly pass and you have that going because that is the best deal in the game. For the Dolphins, you want to try to make sure that the 7-day purchase is active. And let's take a look at the hot section. So Vitality Solutions, I recommend that you try not to buy no more than 2 a day, because if you buy 2 a day, that is giving up 21 rolls for the next limited character. But one thing you do want to try to get are your advancement modules and your booster modules. But they did update the choice materials to where you can buy Titan gear. I still don't really recommend that you buy these. If you're considering buying these, you're better off probably just getting things from the limited gift pack with the Titan monthly supply or weekly supply. You can also get a turtle mount for 380 Tanium if you want to purchase that. Which brings us to the Commissary, starting with the Crystal Dust Store. So you want to make sure that you buy your Potent Omnium Crystal, your Advancement Module, your Booster Modules, your Augmentation Module Box, your Core Control Module, and your Augmentation Factors for the week. And you might as well go ahead and buy your very special gifts, so that way you can give those gifts to the other characters. Space-Time Store, you want to buy your Advancement Modules, your Booster Modules, and your Data Repeater for the week. Cruise Store, now the only thing that you want to spend your points on are relics, and the relics that I recommend are either Omnium Shield or Space-Time Rift, but you could consider a Hologram Projector or a Drone Level 3. Support Store, you want to buy your Space-Time Crystal Fragments, your Space-Time Crystal Dust, and even your Gold, and you might as well go ahead and pick up your Black Nugulus. And if you have return points, you want to make sure you buy your Space-Time Crystal Fragments, and if you have extra return points, then you can buy your Proof of Purchase, your Gold Nugulus, and your Radar Detectors. Point Store, now the only thing that you want to spend your points on are spare special gifts, so that way you don't have to do training, black market, or Cetus Island again. But if you need to level up your matrices or weapons, you could always buy matrix data packs or weapon batteries. And with your critical points, I recommend that you save them. But besides that, you just want to take the time to explore the new area. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this and look forward to my tier list coming out later this weekend. But other than that, I'll talk with you guys later.